Started back up here. What advice would you give Iowa dealers for being prepared for a dealer audit?
Sure. So our dealer audits are, years ago we mainly focused on the vehicles that were parked on the dealer's lot at the time. And we would go to the dealership, we would say, let's see the title paperwork for those vehicles, we would check odometers, we would check VINs. We didn't put a lot of emphasis on what's been taking place over the last 6 months or last year. What we do today is we typically will go to the dealer's website and we will look and see what vehicles are being offered for sale on their website. We'll look at how they advertise and some of those things. We'll pull up our ARTS record, the vehicle registration record, and we'll look and see what vehicles that dealer may have sold in the last 6 months or last year. So we'll make some notes. So we're doing some preparing work ahead of time. So when we go to the dealership, we're going to ask them not only about the vehicles that are on their lot to make sure that the title paperwork is there and the odometers are completed, but we're going to check and say, okay, we know that these 15, 20 vehicles were sold in the last 6 months or last year. We need to see all the paperwork that goes with it. So for a dealer, the important thing is, yeah, the transaction may have been done, great, the vehicle sale is everything went fine, but make sure they keep that paperwork well organized, somewhere they can easily retrieve it, and make sure everything is done properly in that file, not just the ones they have on their lot today. So that's really important thing. The odometer statement, we find sometimes that a dealer gets busy and in a hurry and doesn't properly fill in the odometer when the transaction took place. It should be a simple thing that they do, but it sometimes doesn't happen. That's one of the things that we find. So from a dealer's perspective, make sure the odometers are filled out properly. And the other part of that is to make sure the odometers are correct. I mean, there's times we do audits, we're matching up information from Carfax, from the title records, and looking at the odometers, and sometimes they don't match up. Well, it could be as simple as somebody just transposed a number, but that's something that a dealer should be looking at ahead of time. Because we're not going to be able to check all the dealers all the time to be able to spot check that. So it's really important that a dealer is keeping good tabs on that paperwork that's coming in. The other thing is dealer plates. Where are their dealer plates? The smaller dealers, that may not be such an issue. They have a handful of dealer plates, but where are they? Who's using them? Is somebody taking advantage of those dealer plates? We're going to ask. We're going to ask where are the plates at? Who's using them? The other thing we're going to do is if there's extension lots, we're going to do some research as well as how is that extension lot being run? Is it being run as a separate dealership, per se? So there could be some law violations there. But we're going to make sure that the paperwork, is in order at that extension lot as well. And we've heard sometimes during dealer audits when we go to the main dealership that the owner there says, well, I don't know anything about the extension lot because some other person is running it. That's not right. I mean, that has to be, the main lot is the main location, and the paperwork needs to be in order for any vehicles that are offered for sale at the extension lots. It's not an excuse to say, so-and-so is running that lot, I don't know anything about it. Because the bottom line is if there's a violation against that dealership, regardless if it's at the extension lot or the main lot, it's the main dealership that's going to be impacted by it. So if there's any charges written, any violations found, it's going to go against the main dealer. So the main dealer really has a responsibility ultimately to make sure that anything that's happening in an extension lot is done properly and by the law, and that there isn't somebody just out on their own taking over another business per se. Because we're going to check that, and we're going to find out that if there's problems, we're going to get it to help them get it resolved on that end. So I think those are the main issues, to help a dealer get prepared for the audit.